Okay, we're good.
Cool. All right. We are very excited to have today for this week 4 HackFS session. We've got 2 teams from HackMoney, which was the previous ETHGlobal event, actually the first online long-form hackathon that we had done. It happened from May to the beginning of June, and it's structured very similarly to what HackFS is right now. So hopefully you'll be able to see it from the other side, from their perspective, after they've, submitted their project, gone through judging, had a little bit of time to think about what their experience was, and then maybe ask them some questions about the entire process. So we have 2 teams with us today. The first is Potion, which is, well, I'll let them give the intros, but it's Potion and DeFiDollar. So Potion, why don't you just give a quick intro, have your team say hi and your names.
Yeah, so hello everyone, my name is Jordi. Just a really quick few words on Potion. It's a decentralized platform for insurance writing based on an AMM approach. And we have today from the team here, Guillem and Christian as well.
Go ahead, Arpit.
Hi guys.
Hey guys.
Sure. Hey guys, I'm Arpit from the team DeFiDollar, and DeFiDollar is an index of stablecoins, and very happy to be here and talking to you people.
Perfect. And so Jordi has some slides he put together with his team, which is excellent, and he's going to walk us through what their experience was. Like I mentioned, what they learned. And if anybody has any questions, use the raise hand function or just put it in the chat, and we'll either pick it up at the end of the session, or if Jordi happens to see it and it makes sense to pause at that point, he'll address it then. But I'm very excited to hear from both teams. And I'll let you start, Jordi.
Thank you so much, Trent. So guys, I want to say, first of all, thank you so much to ETHGlobal. For us, HackMoney was an unbelievable experience, and it's really cool to be here to be able to share how the process worked for us. Really quick introduction to the team. Christian is our UX and UI person. He was also responsible for brand design and is on the call tonight. Guillem did financial engineering as well as some smart contract development. He's also on the call, and you'll be hearing from him. Fabienne, front-end developer and full-stack developer. Ethan has very recently joined us. He works on the protocol engineering and is a full-stack dev. And myself, I worked on the financial engineering and also some project management. And today, we thought it might be useful just to give you a quick intro into what Potion is, and perhaps give you a quick demo of the stuff we built for HackMoney. We also wanted to share kind of the backstory for how we went through the HackMoney experience, including the highlights and some lowlights. I don't know how long that will take us, but if we have time, it would also be great to share some of the lessons we learned, also at the personal level. Perhaps share a little bit of Potion's future and do Q&A, which, by the way, we can do throughout as well if anybody has any questions. Guillem, over to you. If you're talking,
yeah.
Okay, good.
If you want to move me to the next slide,
sure.
We'll start with the big question on why did we build Potion. So if you have experienced any of the sites offered by existing DeFi option protocols, you have probably noticed that there is very small selection of possible assets to be protected, and you have to choose between a reduced set of strike and duration terms. So you go to opt-in, for instance, you try to insure your assets, and you may only be able to do that for ETH, and you have to choose between 4 options, like for strike and duration combinations. And so you cannot really create a bespoke experience. So basically, in the hackathon, what we needed was a way to insure as many assets as possible, let users select any strike that they wanted or any duration. And basically what you have to build to get this is a general purpose insurance platform, and that's what we tried to do. So yeah, Potion basically is a decentralized network that runs on Ethereum, and its main functionalities to meet these ERC20 cash settled put options, and these are what we call potions. So these potions are basically contracts between a buyer and a set of LPs that insure assets against price drops. And this is possible because there's this network of LPs who provide collateral, and this collateral is readily available to be locked inside any of these insurance contracts on demand. So Potion basically works as an AMM because users on the buyer side come to the protocol, get their potions minted at the spot on a self-service basis. So what's cool also about Potion, and what really sets the difference with the other option protocols, as we said before, is that a Potion user can insure potentially any asset as long as this has a reliable price fit. And then she can use her own desired strike and duration terms for it. And yeah, now one of the most important features of Potion is that it uses a predictable pricing engine or pricing system. Since it's an AMM, the system needs to have always a price quote readily available for the buyer. And somehow this price needs to reflect the risk preferences of the LPs who are underwriting these contracts. And that's precisely what the price engine does. And although for the sake of brevity, we won't get into detail here about such engine, it's worth highlighting that it creates this totally new, much more passive experience for the LP, who can express her risk preference to the system and let the pricing engine actively manage her risk exposure. And yeah, finally, bringing this easy, intuitive, fun user experience has been like a North Star since the inception of Potion. And yeah, I'll try to walk you very quickly through the particular UX that we designed for the hackathon. So basically, the user comes to the platform. You'll see that he finds a Uniswap-like interface where he's basically asked like, yeah, what asset do you want to insure? What's the quantity of this asset that you want to insure? Tell us what is the strike price that you need. Tell us what is the expiry date that you want to use. As simple as that. So yeah, as you can see, there's an array of assets that the user can choose to insure. Our aim here is to provide both crypto native assets like ETH or Chainlink or Maker, but then as I said before, as long as you have a reliable price fit for an asset, you can bring it to Potion. So potentially, we can bring synthetics of Tesla, SP500 or whatever. So yeah, then as I said, you can choose any expiry date so long as the LPs on the platform are comfortable with taking this long-term position if need be. And yeah, basically, once the user has set his options, he gets like this receipt that is telling him what will happen with his insurance, what will be, the price that he will incur to, and that's basically it. So then, when he gets the Potion, this is like an open contract that he can go and exercise at some point, and with that he will get back the difference of the drop price that he may experience, and that's basically what exercising this Potion means: getting back the payoff of a put option, right? And he will simply get that, and that will be basically the end of the buyer of Potion. Basically, this interface that you see is basically what we built, what we released in a testnet during the HackMoney hackathon. Over to you, Jordi.
Perfect. Thank you, Guillem. So for me personally, HackMoney was the first hackathon that I was part of, and it kind of blew my mind quite a bit. And I thought it might be useful to share kind of how we went from zero to having 0 lines of code to having this front end operational on testnet that Guillem just showed you. So actually, Guillem and I joined as the only 2 members of the team. We actually started with 2 different ideas. We had this idea for a decentralized pension fund as well as a perpetual hedger. And we actually didn't decide until a few days into the hackathon. We actually, in our initial design, we wanted to use Opin as the DeFi Lego to build on top of. But then as we started digging into the architecture, then we realized that maybe it was not going to be sufficient for what we wanted to do. I think like around 10 days in or something, we managed to get the third team member to join. He was somebody with Solidity experience, and it really complemented us. We were incredibly lucky to get amazing support from a lot of the DeFi platforms that we wanted to rely on. So for example, we had engineering calls with Mike McDonald at Balancer. We had long Discord chats with Allison at UMA, and then further calls with Regina and Nick Pai at UMA. So yeah, they became super available to us and allowed us to continue refining the architecture. I think it wasn't until like kind of halfway through that we had the first functional design doc. It was quite interesting to have the idea landed on a document, because then this document, it was something that we were able to share with UMA and share with Balancer and ask the question, are we on the right track? Are our ideas actually executable, to avoid, running into any dead ends. And so that was good, but we still needed extra talent in the team. We identified that we needed somebody to make our stuff look nice and sexy and pretty. And we actually launched a call on Twitter, just that's a broadcast saying we need a UX designer. And Stani from Aave was incredibly generous in actually retweeting. And that's how we found the fourth team member, Christian, who's on the call and will speak in a few moments, who turned out to be like a godsend, like an incredibly talented UX designer. 10 days to go, we kind of started getting nervous that we were not going to be able to ship everything that we had in mind. And so we kind of changed the scope and we cut it in half. We had to decide what is it that we can actually ship, considering we have 10 days left. Amazingly, I think something like 8 days to go. By the time we didn't, Potion as a name didn't exist. We didn't have any branding. It was still just a concept. So 8 days to go, Christian, like just in a matter of 48 hours, came up with like what you're seeing, like all the graphic design all the branding system. He came up with it like super quickly. And then we had like a bit of a team crisis, which I thought was useful to share here. Basically, one of the team members was actually working on 2 separate teams, and we were struggling to meet the commitments and keeping the deadlines. And it just felt like the person that was responsible for the front end, considering that we had 7 days to go and we had not started on the front end, it just felt like it was not going to happen. And so we had to take the difficult decision to replace that person. And then we launched another broadcast, and actually Heather from ETHGlobal was unbelievably helpful. In fact, Josh, Heather, Trent, they were incredibly helpful throughout. But in this case, on the advice of Heather, we were able to make a connection with Fabienne, who's an incredibly talented full stack developer. And yeah, like literally in 4 days, he was able to put together the entire front end. But I just wanted to share that like this was the last 5 days were incredibly intense. It was like a lot of like long days, short sleeping cycles, but we just kept pushing. And I think like the whole team rallied around the idea that we were gonna do this. Like we just started believing that we were gonna get there. And we had a lot of problems, but just so you get an idea, we had to submit. This was 6 a.m. Barcelona time, and it was 5:30 in the morning, and their thing was still not running. And we actually decided to start recording the video presentation with the thing not running, just to be able to submit something. And just magically, Guillem somehow managed to get the thing running. And the first successful run was actually the one that we recorded for the submit. So I think it was like destiny, had this waiting for us. And yeah, the feeling was unbelievable. The fact that it was such an unexpected success, I think galvanized the team together. Like we really felt like we had come together and created a team that was able to accomplish things. And I think it gave us a spirit of empowerment. That we had been able to ship something that we felt really proud of. And I think that's when Potion came together, started feeling as a team, something that could go beyond just HackMoney. We were super lucky to get invited into the IDEO product validation, which was another huge design sprint, but unbelievably useful, highly recommended experience for anybody going through any motions like this. And then very quickly after going through this, we started getting inbound calls from investors and VCs suggesting that this was something that had some legs and that they wanted to help us make it to mainnet. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. How are we doing for time, Trent? I just want to make sure that we're good. Okay. So Guillem, why don't you share some of your personal learnings?
Sure. So basically, I wanted to say that we started the hackathon with this, with like an open mind, but at the same time with like two main ideas that we wanted to try out. We didn't really know the exact shape of those, but we knew the general scope. They were like extremely different ideas, and we kind of tried to push for them in parallel through the community, basically looking for team members and people, sponsors interested to join in some way or another. We quickly realized one of the ideas was too complex and basically people weren't really buying into it. But the other we felt was perceived a bit more sexy by the rest of the participants. This other idea was Potion, and we quickly moved to it and put all the energy into it. And I think this was, yeah. So defining the general scope of the project at the early beginning and being open to feedback of the community was crucial to move quickly into success in our case. Yeah, personally, as the person who developed the set of smart contracts powering Potion, I benefited a lot from studying super intensively the code of the protocols that I liked and I thought were directly useful for our idea. So for me, it's super important to go to the source code ASAP, learn, get inspired. Yeah, since we're so lucky, these protocols are world-class and actually they are open source, so they're like incredible learning books.
Perfect. Christian.
Yes. So I want to share my experience telling my lessons and personal perspectives. So I want to say as first lesson to design a product for people, not users. This is more an advice for people than as not a design background, but believe me, design matters. Then I want to like that build an heterogeneous and balanced team will empower your product, because when you face problem with different people, you empower yourself. And for sure, passion defeats all obstacles, so deadlines and commitments. And regarding my personal perspectives, I want to say thanks to the HackMoney, because now I have the chance to be fully employed in the DeFi industry. I have the chance to meet the strong DeFi builders and visionaries in this ecosystem. And for sure, I have the opportunity to be part of this decentralized revolution. So thank you, HackMoney. Was a great experience.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So yeah, I think like I share a lot of those views. For me, one thing that struck me very much is how accessible everybody was in DeFi. I think there is an incredible spirit in the community. All the founders are incredibly accessible. So anyone going through the HackFS right now, if you're being shy about approaching these people, don't be. I think there is this energy in DeFi and crypto that is quite unique. I actually think that hackathons are an incredible platform for innovation. In my recent past, we were trying to start a startup, and I think doing what we did for HackMoney would have taken a lot longer and a lot of money. And I just think it's an incredible opportunity to do quick prototyping in an environment that incredibly facilitates recruitment. So, for example, when I approached Christian or Fabienne, the fact that we had ETHGlobal behind, it was something that people were able to understand, and that we're willing to work for free, which is something quite unique. I also think that for us, it made a huge difference, the fact that we didn't start from zero on the code. We forked existing code, which meant that from the get-go, we were working on something that was already working, and we were just refining and repurposing, but we were starting from a working platform. I think in hindsight, maybe some of the tough decisions that we had to take, perhaps we should have taken them earlier. So yeah, that's a personal reflection. Keep pushing until the end. Trent was just sharing that you guys have 1 week left. I think you have submit next Thursday. When we were, in our case, 1 week to go, we had still a lot to go. So keep pushing, and you can get there. And I think I already said this, but for me, getting to submission with something of the quality that we were able to ship just created an incredible feeling of accomplishment and empowerment, the ability to do some great stuff on crypto and DeFi, which I think is an incredible opportunity. And then, yeah, just a few words on what's next for us. We've actually, since shipping to testnet, we've developed and refined a new architecture. It's now a full AMM with a radical new take on pricing. It's now a combination of a market-driven system with a special deterministic secret sauce. We have plans to ship a risk management app that is actually built on top of Potion, which is the initial perpetual hedger we always wanted to build. We are in the process of closing our round of finance, which is incredibly exciting for us. It's going to allow us to capitalize the project to create a stable development team and go full-time into the development of Potion. We're in the process of recruiting. We want to reinforce the team. And in fact, if anybody listening to this is a crazy talented Ethereum developer, by all means, reach out to us, come to the Discord and talk to us. And for sure, our North Star is launching to mainnet. And that's it. Happy to take any questions now or after Arpit has gone through DeFiDollar, whichever way you want to play it, Trent.
Wow, that was a really amazing story you just shared. I'm glad there was a bunch of things that I hadn't known about before, and that graph that you had shared of the timelines was really, really great to see everything in context, the problems you faced. So again, thank you for that.
Thank you.
I think, yeah, we'll move. Arpit, do you want to put your video on and then we can just get some questions from you and then open it up for general discussion from anybody? Yeah, you got to unmute there.
Oh, sorry. So I also have slides. Is it okay?
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Can you guys see it? Yeah, before I start with DeFiDollar, right? So building DeFiDollar at HackMoney was an incredible experience, right? And for some background, I have been to countless ETHGlobal hackathons. I've been to ETH India. I took a 22-hour-long flight to participate in ETH San Francisco. I was at ETH Singapore, right? So I'm a big fan of ETHGlobal people and just love participating in ETHGlobal hackathons because they are so well organized and all the people there are so approachable, right? The organizers, the sponsors, and the level of innovation that happens during 2 days in like the in-person hackathons and like over 1 month in virtual hackathons. It's just incredible, right? And I think someone said that, like after HackMoney concluded, someone said that in DeFi, the amount of innovation that happened in last month was probably equivalent to 10 years of innovation in traditional finance, right? And I think that's very powerful, right? So at HackMoney, we built DeFiDollar, which is a indexed, which is an index of stablecoins, right? And I'll talk more about it. So we are a team of 4. I am Arpit, and Siddharth joined us later for like all the business growth and partnership things, right? And during HackMoney with me were Deep and Manthan, like crazy talented designer Deep and front end guy Manthan. Sorry they couldn't join us today because it's quite late in India. Yeah. Right. So why do we need an index stablecoin, right? Actually, yeah, let me jump to this one. So there's a lot of talk about, stablecoins moving from their peg, right? None of the stablecoins are trading exactly at $1, which is something that we hear about a lot. And then with centralized stablecoins, there's a custodian risk. Again, like talk of the Twitter, and obviously, like if you have a large net worth of your if you have a large portion of your net worth in stablecoins, you don't want to lose it because Tether goes to 0, right? That would suck. So that is that. And then with stablecoins like DAI, which are awesome, but then there's so much discussion about extensive governance that is required to actually keep it on its peg, right? So to an extent, there's a barrier to it. And of course, volatility, which I just spoke about. So we thought, because there are so many stablecoins, centralized and decentralized, and each of them have their own pros and cons, we thought, why not, take a middle way and build an index of stablecoins, which tries to gets the good parts of every coin and subsidize, or let's say, provide a failure cushion for the bad parts. That's what we are trying to make. So it's an index of stablecoins that also uses DeFi primitives to stay near the dollar mark and subsidize the collateralization ratio. So actually, we have changed our mechanism quite a bit now, but this is what we built during HackMoney, right? And I want to share this first because this is more interesting. So what we do is, like for DeFiDollar, which is just a stablecoin, you mint that using already existing stablecoins, right? Because it's an index of existing stablecoins. So during HackMoney, what we built was you get stablecoins, and our contract, the DeFiDollar smart contract, puts them in Aave, and then the smart contract gets the A tokens back, right? So now smart contract owns income generating.
It's like we lost the audio connection there.
You can't hear me?
I can.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Right. So what happens is, like, once you get stablecoins, they are deposited in Aave, and then the smart contract gets A tokens back, and then they are deposited in a balancer pool, right? So balancer is a protocol for, like, it's like Uniswap, but more configurable. So if you put assets in a balancer pool, basically, if there are any arbitrage opportunities that open up, people can basically, make profit out of it, but at the same time, keeping your pool at a desired ratio. So this is what we wanted to do. So if, let's say, DAI goes to 1.02 and 2 USD is still at $1, or let's say it goes below $1, right? So people will arbitrage and then try to get those pools at the same price, right? Like if they have $100 of each, and if DAI is at 1.02, there will be some arbitrage opportunity. And what happens is, in the balancer pool, DAI will be less in number and 2 USD will be more in number. But like the consequences that the pools are still balanced. And at the same time, the protocol is getting trade fees from interest from Aave and the trade fee from the balancer. So this was the original idea, right? But then we realized that for all of this, Curve is a very good abstraction, right? Because they do lending behind the scenes. And they are also a very efficient AMM for stablecoins, which simply means more income for the DeFiDollar protocol. So like to abstract all of these, we now changed our design quite a lot. And then we are building DeFiDollar on Curve Finance now. So this is DeFiDollar in its current form, right? So it is backed by Curve Finance LP tokens. And we have taken a modular approach to integrating with Curve pools. So based on community deliberation, it's very easy to add a new Curve pool to the DeFiDollar system. So if people say that there's a particular pool, a Curve pool that is really good, that is giving really good yield, it's super simple for us to integrate with that, right? And when we launch, which we are looking to launch in about 2 weeks, 15th August, but depends on the audits. So yeah, we'll be starting with like 1 or 2 Curve pools. And DeFiDollar is a more robust and stable asset, while holders accrue yield farming rewards from underlying protocols, right? So because we are depositing the stable coins in Curve, while there's a DeFiDollar, which is totally liquid. And the underlying assets are deposited in Curve, and whatever the yield farming benefits we get from Curve, we'll be distributing that to the DeFiDollar holders, right, in that ratio. And there is one final mechanism, which is the DUSD stakers accrue lending and trading fee rewards while contributing towards spec safety. So I'll talk about a little about how that works, right? But before that, we actually ran simulations on the data from the last 4 months, assuming that DUSD is backed by DAI and SUSD, right? And if you look at the price, DeFiDollar is the one in green. And based on a simulations from real data from the last 4 months, that actually comes out to be quite stable, right, in a lot of scenarios. So the new thing that we introduced after we were done participating in HackMoney, right, was the staking mechanism, which is an additional safety layer to protect the DeFiDollar peg, right? So what happens there is, once you mint DeFiDollars, you can stake it in the protocol. There's a native staking mechanism. And staked DUSD acts as additional collateral for DUSD in circulation, right? So let me take a simple example. Let's say there are 110 DUSD, right? And Alice, she has 10 DUSD and she decides to stake them in the protocol. Now, effectively, staked coins are a cushion for volatility, which means that because they're not in circulation, so the $100, the 100 DUSD, which are in free circulation, are essentially backed by $110, right? So over collateralized. That is how we maintain over collateralization, right? And if, let's say, the peg was failing, let's say Tether is going to 0.9 or it is failing still, right? 100 DUSD would be backed by $100 because the underlying assets have fallen. And at that point, the funds will become illiquid, right? But that is only in the unlikely scenario of any one underlying stable coins failing. But for the people who did not stake, their DUSD is still at $1. But what is it in it for the stakers, right? So all the protocol income that is being generated from Curve Finance from those $110 goes to the stakers. So even if that is like 5% and you get $5 on 110, all of that goes to Alice, who deposited 10. So for her, it's 50% APR. So that is the idea. Like if you have the risk appetite, stake them, and you get a higher APR. That is the idea that we introduced, right? And V1, V0, which is what we made during HackMoney, is already on Coven. But as I said, over the last month, we changed a lot of things, and we released the V1 spec, which was received very warmly by the Ethereum community. Very thankful for that. And yeah, like investors reached out to us, and we have a team going, and we'll be launching. We are hoping to launch this in a couple of weeks. So very interesting. Well, and if you're interested in the project, then join our Discord or like reach out to us on Twitter and stuff, right? And I think, yeah, as Jordi also mentioned, the best part about participating in hackathons and especially ETHGlobal hackathons is, the accessibility all the DeFi founders are so accessible. You just ping them on Telegram, they'll reply. The ETHGlobal organizing team is so helpful. I mean, I have pinged Trent over little issues and like helping out even after the hackathon. And like all of this stuff is amazing. And I think one thing which I would really like to mention is, like there's a lot of opportunity in DeFi and blockchains in general, because all of this infrastructure is so early. Basically, anything that you build out there is, even if it's a little reasonable, right? There will be people to help you out and like fine tune your model, and you'll be able to launch. So yeah, like launch to mainnet. So if you have an idea, right, talk to your users, talk to your potential users, talk to fellow hackers, talk to the sponsors that you're building in, and they'll help you make your model bulletproof. And then just try to make a submission during the hackathon, right? And things will work out. It's really amazing. Yeah, interestingly, like for me, the blockchain journey started with, so I got super interested in blockchain and then I quit my job. And I was only 15 days into it and I learned a bit of Solidity. And then someone from ETH India team reached out, on Twitter, and they said that you should participate in this ETH India hackathon. And I totally thought that, I don't really know anything, so it's probably useless to participate in this hackathon for me. But I actually did, because the city that they were doing it in, all of my friends lived there. So I thought, might as well go and meet my friends. But then we ended up winning that. And since then, I've never looked back, been in the blockchain space for 2 years, participating in more hackathons. So I think this is a brilliant opportunity. And even if you're not built anything right now, 1.5 weeks is like enough time for you guys to build anything that you want, right? So just go out there and build, and feel free to like reach out to us, to the Potions team, to us, or like anyone else, if you have any idea that you want to discuss.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Arpit. I think at this point we can see if there are any questions from those two presentations. And then just after that, we will move into, you guys can talk. I know Jordy already touched on this, but what the video creation experience was like, what the submission process was like for each of you, and then what the judging session was like. But Christian, if you want to ask your question, you can unmute or write it in the chat. That's fine.
Was it me?
Yep.
Will it be like you choose in a bank or something, US dollar account, like in PayPal, we can choose to saving the money in euro or US dollars accounts. Will this could be the same douche and account, and so you can pay it backwards, or only crypto valuta for itself. Jeg kan prøve at skrive det. I tried to write it.
I think that's the question for Arpit, yeah.
Trent, could you help me like understand a bit? Sorry.
Yeah, I think he might be asking what the DUSD is denominated in, or maybe just give a short summary of how that mechanism works.
Which mechanism?
Maybe I misunderstood. Christian, can you summarize again?
In PayPal, you have to use some account and example dollars, euro, or Danish crowns to where you shall pay or get money to. Will this US dollar, will it could be in the same spot in an account in for example, PayPal, or I only in DeFi system for itself?
Yeah, I think their product is only for DeFi right now.
Okay.
Yeah, Christian. So like, I think our thought right now is building a stablecoin which reduces the systemic risk in DeFi, right? So there are like $8 to $11 billion worth of stablecoins, and if one stablecoin fails, like we are very bullish on DeFi. We don't want DeFi to fail just because a stablecoin failed. So right now we are trying to build a stablecoin which reduces the system risk in DeFi, right? And we'd be very happy if DeFiDollar becomes the choice of stablecoins in DeFi, right? But that said, longer term, if it works out, you could probably see, us building it into a de facto savings account, or like, what if we build an asset that is backed by fiat, something like Libra, right? So what if we build an asset that is backed by something like currencies from a lot of countries, right? And then you could redeem DUSD, DeFiDollar, or like whatever the asset that'll be called at that point. You could redeem that for your choice of currency in your country, right? So possibilities are endless, yes. But right now, yes, we are focused on DeFi.
Thank you both. The next question is in the chat from Jay. And this is applicable for both projects, but especially Jordi, because you had some teammates shift around. But his question is, how did you handle participants sharing in the ownership of ongoing projects after the hackathon? So Jordi, why don't you start with that?
So yeah, this is a little tricky because obviously the nature is totally open source. So we believe in openness, and I think part of the spirit in DeFi is making it accessible to everybody. And by making it open, you also invite contributors to participate. And so for us, we didn't have any particular concerns. In our Discord, there are some sections that are like specific, like private to the core members, where we're like cooking some stuff that's maybe not ready for consumption. But actually, we're considering whether we should do 100% of the development in the open. But yeah, with regards to the specific team member, like the Discord at that stage, the Discord was totally open. So we actually were not that concerned about that.
What about you, Arpit? Or if any other teammates from
Yeah.
Potion want to chime in on that, feel free.
I can take a shot. So yeah, in our case, like I don't really think there's as such some intellectual property or something that we want to protect, right? If there is a better team out there who wants to fork our code, we'll probably be feel flattered, at least right now, because that gives us validation. And if some team can build a better version out of it, I'd be very happy. So that's not really a concern, because I think, at least for me, Blockchain Spirit is all about being open source and like fork it, but responsibly, because if you're gonna get users, like then you're responsible for them. So that is one thing. And in terms of ownership of the projects, does it mean which team a member handles what type, or do you mean like who gets what equity? In either case, I think in our case, it's all of us friends who are building this project. So that's not really a problem, because we just want to build stuff and launch, and then talk money later if you're talking about equity. But in terms of ownership, I think if that was your question, then it's very good to have a balanced team, which means that if you have a designer, a front-end guy, and a back-end / smart contracts guy, then that team is very balanced, if that was your question. So if you have these members, then you can really build a good project. Yeah.
Yeah, he did have one follow-up in the chat, which is, are you concerned about another entity claiming you're infringing on their intellectual property?
Not yet, because we haven't really thought about these things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because I think all of this stuff is like still very new, right? I don't think there are two people doing the same thing right now, because even when I talk to people who are very technical in the Web2 space, but not in blockchain, they are just blown away with the things that we are creating, because things like Uniswap or Balancer, right? Order bookless trading, it just blows them away. So I think, I don't think there are two people building the same thing right now.
Awesome. It looks like we cleared those up, but if anybody has questions that we didn't touch on yet, just drop them in the chat and we'll get to them. But we want to be mindful of time. I know it's late for Arpit, so let's jump to a few questions about the video process. If we had more time, I would have us watch the videos that you submitted, and then we could kind of critique and analyze, but maybe that'll have to be for another time. And I'll drop them in the HackFS chat. Actually, I think they're already in the scheduled channel. But let's just talk about how did you approach making your video? Was it an insane challenge to get it under 4 minutes? Tell us a little bit about that. Let's start with Arpit.
Yeah, actually, for us, I think it was good that we had to submit a video, right? Because then you know specifically what you have to deliver. Because if it's just repository code, then you tend not to complete it. But if you have a deliverable, you know that you have 4 minutes to showcase everything. I think that is very good. So in our case, like, we had a lot to speak about, and we also had a nice demo to show, thanks to our front-end guy and design guy. So I think that was a very cool experience. And in terms of video, so it's basically your elevator pitch. So take some time to explain your concept and take some time to show the demo, because yeah, it needs to be balanced. So if your project is very straightforward, you can directly jump to the demo and then walk through it. So it just really depends on how you want to do it. But yeah, like, it's good to have like a couple minutes to showcase your concept and then a couple minutes to showcase your demo. I think that is very good, and I think that also makes the judges' life very easier, right? Because if they can see what video you made and basically that gives you, the judges, the entire idea about what you made, right? So also it gets shared around a lot. So just make a good video, and I think it's a very good investment in terms of efforts that you'll put. Sometimes it can be a little intimidating to do it. But as Jordi also mentioned that, the final thing that was driving them in the last 30 minutes was actually making that video. So I think, yeah, that is the most fun part of the project.
Awesome.
Yeah, I share Arpit's views there. I think for us, it was a challenge getting within the 4 minutes. And I think in hindsight, if we had to do it again, I think we might do it differently. The way we approached it is we really wanted to explain everything that we had done, and there was a fair amount of complexity, and we wanted to really go into some of the details because we're proud of it. But perhaps we didn't realize that for somebody that maybe is not like a derivatives trader or an option trader, some of those concepts might be just impossible to digest, let alone in 4 minutes. We actually were quite extreme on like cutting the silences. So like I think we couldn't make it shorter than 6 minutes, and we had to literally like edit the video to remove every single little piece of silence. And I think that tells you that was the wrong approach. Although I think that in the end the video I think conveyed some quality and goodness, I think we could have done a better job if we had stayed at a higher level and try to simplify and just explain the concept at a very high level. I think during the judging, you could see the judges' faces. They kind of liked it, but they were not 100% there. So yeah, my advice would be keep it simple, have fun, and like Arpit says, it's a good investment because it's gonna stay there forever, and you don't know who's gonna be watching it, and it could be something that has a big impact on your future.
Yeah, exactly. Just to add a note, like as you start to, figure out how you're going to describe your project in 4 minutes, it may feel impossible to fit these complex ideas or this thing you've been working on for a month. Like, how do you explain this in 4 minutes? But you just have to know that it's possible. It's very challenging, but the key thing to know is that you want to explain your project concisely, because the judges are going to be looking at this for the first time ever. They don't necessarily need to know every single feature, but like Jordi said, start at a high level, be concise, really set limits on how much time you give to each section of your project. So you want to be able to have enough time where you're not rushing through it. You don't have to do these editing tricks where you're cutting out silence, or we had some people last time where they would speed it up by like 1.25 speed, and that just makes it impossible for the judges to understand what's going on if you're speeding up the vocals. So like I said, might feel impossible, but feel free to reach out and send drafts of your video to anybody from the ETHGlobal team or myself. I'll be focusing a lot on this. So yeah, maybe we can get a quick description of like the judging experience itself. It's pretty straightforward. The basic format, everybody, if you haven't read it, there's a doc in your info center that just lays out, you'll have the 4 minutes for your video, and then you can talk over it or just use your pre-recorded vocals. And then there's, I think, 3 minutes for judges to ask questions to get more context for things. But Jordi, do you want to start by talking about the judging experience? And
yeah, so I think it can be a little nerve wracking because you're live, you're being recorded, stakes are high, you want to make a good impression. But then when you're there, it kind of goes really quick. And the judges, at least in our case, were super nice. We watched a lot of judging, and I think they're all people from the industry. They're very smart. So it was good. I think for me, if I had to give advice, it would be to try to the extent that you can, be concise. Like I think there is sometimes a tendency to try to over-explain stuff to make sure that people get it, but you don't have that much time. So if you can kind of land the key message and kind of stop yourself from rambling, I think that's good.
Yeah, one approach I've seen here is you can actually write out questions that you maybe can expect from judges. Write that out and prepare your answers ahead of time, so you're not caught unexpecting, or you're not having to answer something that's completely unknown to you. Try to prep for that. Arpit?
Yeah, I think for me, I just consider judges as my friends, right? Because whatever questions they ask, finally, they'll help you polish your product. So like you build something, you obviously love it, right? And so I just think that, the questions won't be very hard, because judges just had 4 minutes to judge you, right? And you have spent an entire month on it. So you're going to just do fine. And just that, whatever questions they ask, they are probably going to be for what your users will ask you, right? So I think just use that as very good feedback. And yeah, I think it's a great experience.
Yeah, that's a really good perspective. I know their title is judge, but in reality, they're more like they're there to give you feedback. They're there to help you understand what you've built a little bit better and see where your explanations or your video maybe isn't highlighting some features that are really important or really useful.
Yep.
Can I add something really quickly there?
Mm-hmm.
Something that was useful to me is actually before going through the judging, I tried to explain the project to my parents, to my mom and my dad, and this was actually a really useful experience, because when they finally understood, it kind of gave me a super clear feedback on, okay, if we explain it like this, then people catch it, and so yeah, that might be interesting feedback to get ahead of the session.
Yeah, that's a really great strategy. Explain it to somebody.
Are your parents available too?
I think they might be. Maybe, in Spanish or Catalan, but yeah.
We'll add them to the mentor list. But yeah, that's a great perspective. Explain it to somebody who is not familiar with crypto or DeFi, or it really forces you to boil it down to the basic concepts.
Right.
Anybody else have any questions? I know I had a few more written down. but I think we may have covered most of them. We talked about the video, we talked about judging. The last week is definitely going to be a sprint for a lot of people, you know, as they're trying to tie down all their loose ends and get something that they can submit. So this next week is going to be intense. Let's see if there are any questions in the chat. Or if anybody wants to unmute and just ask it, that's also fine. Then I don't have to repeat what you've written. See, we haven't heard from a couple people. I'm not going to call you out, but this is meant to be for hackers, you know, to learn, to get some additional perspective. So don't be afraid to unmute and just ask. If not, sounds like everybody is confident. They know what they're doing for the next week. They're ready to go. We could probably wrap there. I'm really glad that we recorded this. So we have, you know, documentation of the stories for other hackers who weren't able to make this. So it'll be available on the ETHGlobal YouTube page. Really great stories and, you know, context from what you both experienced your entire teams. So again, thank you for coming and sharing this, Arpit, for staying up late. This is really, really insightful stuff, and I'm sure it'll be helpful to all the hackers.
Thank you, Trent.
Pleasure, man. Thank you.
Any final words from you, your teams, or anybody who's here? Jordy, it looked like your audio cut out. I don't know if you said something.
I'm just, for me, I'd say something that Arpit said really resonated with me, which is when he started, like he didn't know much Solidity yet when he went to ETH India, and for us it was a little bit the same. You know, we didn't have incredible smart contract development, so just go for it. You know, and just keep pushing. And you know, this week a lot of things can change. So you know, keep the positivity there, and you know, ask for help, and you know, good things will happen. But give it a go. You know, don't quit.
Yeah, like if you make a demo video, you're already in the 90th percentile. So just make something.
Yeah, great. I think we could probably wrap there. I'll include links to both of those projects in the HackFS chat. So if you're curious about what they're doing, what they did, and where they're going in the future, you can connect with them. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to provide some feedback there. Thank you, everybody, for showing up, and thank you for the teams.
Thank you so much, guys.
Bye-bye, guys. Nice talking.
Cheers.
Have a good weekend, and happy next week hacking.